right. Welcome to EETF 79. I hope you guys are doing great. So tonight it is Quirky Questions time. With me tonight, I have 4 regulars. First, we have Mike Drew. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you again. It's great to see everybody here on our virtual, gathering spot.
Dominion.
Yeah.
Round table.
Yeah, round table.
Welcome back. We also have Nick Bamback. How are you?
Good. Thank you for inviting me back to the round table, Patrick.
EETF Roundtable, always a pleasure. We also have Hector Contreras. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. That's a big ass round table if we're going all the way from Canada all the way down to South Carolina. So North Carolina. Where are you?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Sorry, didn't mean to give
right
give away
before Nick.
Yep.
Just before.
Yep. We're in the middle of the table.
All right. Welcome back. We also have Kyle Hildreth. How are you, sir?
I'm doing lovely, Patrick. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. So it is a short list of questions tonight. I think they are good, but they are kind of, not going to say complex, but you have to think a little bit before coming up with something. And to prove that fact, I got nothing on all 4 questions. So,
You're the host. That's all right.
well, yeah. Well,
They're
you
your
know.
questions.
Yeah, well, yes and no. As I mentioned before recording, I asked our common friend and maybe soon to be enemy ChatGPT to come up with a few questions, and I got those among many others.
Imagine if Alex Trebek had to answer his own questions.
That's true.
Well, yeah, maybe he wouldn't sound as smart as he
That's
did.
kind of what I was wondering.
Yes.
Bob Barker, though, on the other hand, he's got an IQ of 180. Yeah,
Yeah, that Plinko, he's got the secret recipe, right?
he knows exactly where get that $1,000 every time.
Clink up.
Exactly. All right, so let us start. Mike, we can start with you. So the first question would be, what is the weirdest or most unexpected thing you've ever found or seen in someone's house? Somebody else's house.
This is tricky because I thought, there's lots of stories of friends or relatives finding things, right?
Uh-oh.
So I thought, what have I seen that I thought, what is going on? And the one that came to me right away was the very first time I ever went to Europe. I went to the UK. I was 13, and where we were staying, they had carpet on the bathroom floor.
Ooh,
That was not what I was going to guess.
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, even as a young teenager, I was like, I'm not sure that's the greatest idea.
Have you seen Sexy Beast?
Well, right? And there's also like, I'm just like, listen, I'm 13, 14, whatever I was at the time. And I'm like, I know the questionableness of my aim, right?
Impeccable.
Right. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, like, is it not going to be a lot harder to clean out of a carpet as opposed to just say like a linoleum floor, hardwood floor, whatever the case is?
Which color was it?
That's a good question. That I don't know.
Yellow. Yes.
Afterwards, yes.
Yeah, maybe. So that was probably the weirdest thing. Again, I've never seen, something that I thought, wow, that's just, like an artifact or something. But yeah, that's what came into my mind was that.
Like in a Clockwork Orange, like a massive porcelain china
color,
dildo.
Yeah. No, never seen. I will tell you one thing really quick was that, and this wasn't mine. So this is what I was struggling with. My uncle and aunt used to live in a place in the country, and it was like an old farmhouse. It didn't have a basement. It didn't have a cellar, but it had like
Crawl space, like?
almost a crawl space, but it wasn't finished. It wasn't concrete. It was dirt, right? So you'd open this door and it would, you had like 4 or 5 feet maybe of
like a root
between
cellar.
the, and the first time, I think it was my uncle said the first time he ever went down there, he saw a circle of rocks,
Oh.
like I don't know.
Satanic.
Yeah, like
thing,
nothing. I don't
kinda?
think there was anything in it and there was nothing around it, but just like, why would there be a circle of rocks
Underneath it.
underneath this, this floor? But anyway, yeah, again, that wasn't mine. So, so I didn't use it.
I'm not cursed. I'm fine.
No,
The rats are getting smarter and smarter.
that's right. They're like, hey, let's, but yeah, so I would say the weirdest thing I ever saw. And listen, I've been to other houses in Europe, and I might say in Europe, the UK, since, and a lot of them have it. It's very weird. I don't particularly like it.
Still?
Yeah, I think there's some. Yeah, I mean, definitely there are some because I've seen it. But even I remember talking to my brother-in-law years ago about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why they do it." So,
Are you talking wall to wall?
yeah, like
Okay.
not just a rug,
Not a rug,
like,
okay.
no, full wall to wall.
Oh, wall to wall shag carpeting.
Yep,
Yep.
in the bathroom.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
And that's still a thing because I underwrite for people's houses and all around. And I particularly see it in the coastal Miami area. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, or Boca.
At the beach, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of beach towns.
There's nobody wet or sandy.
Yeah, exactly. Makes the most sense to make sure to have the
What
full
the
amount
hell?
of sand.
And your floors wouldn't even be cold. You're that far south.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Makes no sense.
Yeah, a lot of choices that they make down there.
But Miami, that's wow. I would
Yeah.
not have guessed that one either.
No, same.
2 for 2.
Choices without style.
Yep.
Or sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, thank you, Mike. Nick, what do you have for that one?
So when I was a child, I had a friend. We went over his house and, like for like a play date or whatever. And I remember going into, I guess in the 90s, I don't know if man caves were a thing, but I guess that was sort of the equivalent of that in the 90s. So I went into one of the rooms to play and I remember seeing, Elvira,
Mm-hmm.
Mistress of the Dark?
yes,
Yeah.
Cassandra Peterson.
Yes.
yeah. And I remember there were 2 posters that haunted me for life just because I was expecting to see this at, I think, 4 or 5.
Oh.
And it was those like beer advertisements that she had. And one of them, she's basically with a werewolf. I don't know if you all remember this. And it was something like, I love a man with a hairy chest, as she sort of like pressed up against this like clearly mascot Bigfoot werewolf like creature, and it says Elvira, and then it's Coors Light, and that just haunted me for many reasons. First of all, why is the mascot wearing a Coors Light hat? Second, I mean, he's not just hairy on his chest, Elvira.
Oh,
So that's another thing.
how's the basement look?
I think someone was probably murdered
Carpeted?
there.
Is it fully carpeted?
Wall to wall, baby.
And then there was another poster where I think it was still Coors Light, and it was something like her with the moon, and it's like my favorite beers. And the way that she holds I guess the broomstick or for the pot or the thing to stir the pot or whatever it is, it clearly looks like it's something else that she is holding. And
Bud Light.
so,
Is it that
Like a
clockwork orange dildo that he was referring to earlier?
I was going to say be more appropriate, be like a phallic symbol, but
No, we went there. Yeah.
but Hector went there. So it was just, it's not so much that it's the strangest thing, but it was bizarre. And I didn't know who Elvira was. I still kind of don't know who Elvira is, just because,
Really?
I know who she is, of course, but it's just one of those things where you're like, who the hell is this woman? And maybe kind of be like, this is just not something that you would normally see in a house.
How old were you?
Like 5, I would say, 4 or 5.
Okay, because I was gonna say if had you waited a couple years,
Hmm.
that poster probably would have had another effect on you.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Put hair on your chest. Yeah.
Just saying.
True. That is definitely true. So it was just something I thought that was kind of like was not expecting to see. And then I thought it was ironically because at the time Nick at Night was kind of popular, and I remember my parents used to show us the monsters, and I thought it was the monsters lady.
Lily,
Until
yeah.
many years later, I realized that it was Elvira.
Elvira's kind of like the anti-Zsa. She's famous, but you don't know exactly what for, but you know
Right.
she's there, and she's all dark. Zsa's all white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Maybe they should have had like a road trip kind of movie, like a
must-
Thelma and
didn't.
Louise style kind of thing.
Yeesh. Let's not go there. All right. Thank you, Nick. Hector, what do you have for this one?
I have a few, but I'll go with the one that sticks out the most.
Oh boy.
So this would probably have been 2008. I go with a buddy to Providence.
Oh Jesus.
We go out, Providence is just
Yeah.
a shit show. As you go down there anytime after 10:30, you might as well just go back home.
AM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we after a night of debauchery, we go, and my favorite spot is the Haven Brothers
Oh,
the food truck. Yeah, because they got this egg melt patty. It's like 3 burgers and a fried egg on top. wouldn't sound very good, but it's very good.
Well, after a night of debauchery, I'm sure it is.
It
good.
just soaks it all up. It's just a sponge of just alcohol. Yeah, so that's around midnight. So we go, and he's like, I got a buddy who lives around the corner. Let's go stop and visit him. So, okay. So we go and visit his buddy. His buddy's got a 2-bedroom apartment, but it's an old building. I'm talking like this probably building is like 100 years old. So everything is wooden walls, wooden everything. My house kind of has a similar vibe, but this is like, it hasn't been touched. It doesn't look like it hasn't been rented. The whole upstairs just looks like an old building. And he's got his own bachelor pad. He's got the shag carpet. He's got the TV. He's got the futon and everything. We're like, we'll go there. He's got a bag of chips out. He's like, hey, guys, you guys want a beer? There's food, whatever. It's fine. We chit chat for a while. And he's like, oh, guys, hold on. Before you guys leave, I want you guys to see something. And we're like, okay. So, it's a bachelor pad and there's beaded doorways instead of doors. So the beaded doorway goes down to a set of stairs. And I'm like, Dan, this kid very well? He's like, yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to wake up without our kid.
What year was this?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
So we go down the stairs and it's a dark, creepy basement. There's no lights on. He turns on a button and like one black light goes on. And you're like, oh God, we're going to leave here without our kidneys. It's ridiculous. What are we doing? And he's like, no, it's cool. I know this guy. I know him for years. It's fine. Good guy. Funny guy. And so we go and he's got a pull down, like kind of like a shade. Like same thing you do for like a green screen, but like really wide. But it's a pull down, and he pulls it down, and he's got the little beads, turns to the side, and behind that pull down is a giant, I'd say like a 8-foot tall door. And I don't mean a door, I mean a metal bank type door, like one that's made of like chrome. It looks like it's $1 million, and I'm like, what is behind that door? I don't know if I want to know because I don't want to get shoved in there and never seen again.
Like a freezer door?
Like a bank vault door.
It's like a bank vaulty door. So he's got a push pad. So he starts pushing and beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. It turns a wheel like a bank vault and it opens the door. And I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be Walt Disney's head in there or something like that. What are we doing? And we go inside and all of a sudden you can see that behind that door are these lasers. So it's like a security thing. So he presses another button. Beep, boop, beep. Lasers off. And it even says it. Lasers off. And we're like, wow. Oh my God.
It's a movie.
You've got mail.
Okay, so he finally turns the lasers off and we walk in. And there is I would say a 20 by 10 room that's just all cultivated weed plants.
Oh.
I'm talking like 5-foot, like tall plants. And he's like, yeah, I sell all around the Tri-Corner area. And so pretty much anytime you see anything come out of Rhode Island, it's me. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, okay, cool.
Jesus.
I did not expect any of this. I thought I was going to wake up with my kid. But yeah, so he had this ginormous, and he didn't have anybody else. It was, I guess it's all him because he's like, oh, it's the only way I can keep my profits. So he's sold weed, but it was like 5 feet tall plants, black lights, like little jets of hose, like with water.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was fully efficient, like self-efficient.
Automated?
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. It's fully automated. He didn't have to, he had everything, and this was 2008, so he had everything off of like not his phone, but like some sort of remote device.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, the whole thing was weird. And then so we walk out of there. I'm like, oh my God, like you walk in there and it was like a Grateful Dead concert. It's just like your second hand, third hand, fourth hand. You walk out there, you're like, just growing in there. Yeah.
So the day after Patrick posts this, you're gonna hear on your door.
Yeah. Haven't seen him since 2000.
Be like, yeah, you were talking about the.
Yeah. So then we walk out of the room and I'm like, oh, well, that's the weirdest thing I've seen. He's like, well, that's only the second weirdest thing in my house. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you haven't seen the sex dungeon next door. Oh. He points to another door and I'm like, you're funny. He's like, yeah, I know. And then we get back in the car and I'm like, Dan, what's in that room that was next to the weed room? He's like, he wasn't kidding. It's really a sex dungeon.
Wow. This guy's a busy guy.
Yeah.
He didn't say he got used.
No, but still.
I did not see the sex dungeon. I just saw pictures later. But yeah, it really was and it was not like a creepy, well, I guess creepy you could put in quotes, but it wasn't. It was apparently a consensual sex dungeon because he was into S&M with other people. That's all I could say about that.
Wow.
I try not to judge.
I would have loved to see how much money he pulled
From which one?
from the weed.
The whole thing, yeah, I don't know, but his whole lifestyle was very like, I'm play video games, smoke weed, and eat chips. Like he just lived in and out of his bachelor pad and just made enough money to do that.
That's a big room.
Yeah.
It is. I don't even know how he did it because again, it was in a basement
Yeah.
that was excavated. Like the original building was a 1-story, but he had a basement that he fully finished and then made that room out of that. So he must have had a ton of additional room that he just closed off and just, told the city of Providence,
Contractors.
there's no room there. There's no room there. That's just a 600 square foot area.
What about like the power bill and shit like that? Jesus.
I got nothing.
Well, you got to make the sex dungeon happen, Patrick.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, he shut off a bunch of other lights so he could keep the black lights on. So I guess that was the most important thing.
All right. Thank you, Hector. We will need a few seconds to regroup and move on to Kyle. What do you have for that one?
You know I can't follow that.
Well, yeah, that's hard to beat.
All right, here we go. So I know there's room in this house. No. The best I could come up with, and it's not great, especially after that. Wow. Whenever you went over somebody's house when you're younger and they had toys that were different than yours, not sex dungeon toys, mind.
No, wait, no, I
But
have to rethink this.
Say you were into He-Man and they had something else, like guys or stuff you never had of that, or G.I. Joe or Transformers or Barbie or whichever, She-Ra, exactly. If you had any of that stuff, it was always amazing. Like, wow, how did you? And you'd want to play there all the time, or you only went one time at somebody's house, and that's the only time you ever saw that. You're like, oh my god, that was the only thing I could come up with. Just toys that you would see at somebody else's house when you're younger. That was something you saw on TV or in a Sears catalog, but you're like, that actually lives somewhere, and I got to see it. It's like seeing a sex dungeon or a weed room.
Yeah,
when you're in your 20s.
You're like, I only saw the sex dungeon in the Sears catalog. I didn't know it existed.
I never got that one for Christmas. I got
Sears catalog,
the travel kit. Oh, those old Sears catalogs are great.
Or service merchandise was the other one too. Where you have to give them the ticket so they can find the item for you instead of
Did you guys have this this chain? Well, I mean, here it was called Distribution Consommateur.
Yeah.
It was like, okay. It was just a Canadian thing, I think, right?
Adam and Eve?
I think so. No, it's
You still have the sex dungeon.
It was called Consumers Distributing here.
Yes, that's it.
It was like a catalog store. So you went in.
Yes.
It was just a storefront, basically. The catalog, you wrote it, whatever the item was, the number, and then it came down a chute.
Yeah, that's what service merchandise.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the Canadian version of it.
Ah, okay. I didn't
There you
know.
go.
Yep, came down a chute.
You went to a showroom like from Wheel of Fortune. When Wheel of Fortune used to in the old days, they'd have a showroom with price tags and stuff.
yeah.
And you go look at it and like, oh, there's a computer. Oh,
Yeah.
I like that toy or that thing. And it had a price and a number. And like Hector said, you bring up the number, give it somebody, and you would come out on
Come out of a luggage
conveyor belt.
carousel.
Yeah, exactly. And it was awesome.
So, Patrick, I'll send it to you. Somebody has PDF'd a lot of those catalogs from the 80s.
Oh, nice.
So good.
Yeah. So it's pretty great.
Fantastic.
My wife found some of them from, I seen eBay for me for Christmas a couple years ago from 82 and 85. Sears catalogs.
Oh.
And first of all, they're so thick. I mean, to think that they sent out these for free to everyone or for $5, maybe.
Like almost as thick as a phone book.
It was a phone
almost.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Jesus.
like a mid-city size phone book.
Yes.
But they're so good. Oh my God.
Well,
Even
the
if you don't care
toys-
about stuff.
And as kids, the toys were always at the back. So it was like really easy to get to them.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
There's lots of home furnishings and ladies' lingerie and sneakers and weird 70s outfits in 82
it was
still.
everything. Yeah.
But then you get to the toys, it's like, oh my God. And it's just it's like I know it's hard to understand for Nick because I don't think they had these from the 90s.
Nick is like,
or 2000s even.
Poor Nick's lost right
I
now.
know.
He's like, I don't know what's happening.
He's just old man pre-internet stories.
Gen X. A bunch of Gen Xers just trying to figure it out.
They had this whole wall because Nintendo had just come out, right? So when the NES first came out, they had this whole wall was behind the glass shelf that you have to like have a key to open, and then there's like this display case of Nintendo games. They're all
It was baby
$50. Yeah. my mom would feel comfortable just leaving me there, and then she went shopping because she knew I'd just stare at everything and just be like, okay, I want
Service
Which
merchandise.
one?
Oh,
Now, in the 90s, that did happen where your parents would drop you off at a store and be like, oh, you could go shop yourself, and you're like 10.
Yeah.
Now that would
IKEA.
never happen nowadays.
put you inside the clothes rack and then
Yeah.
just.
Yep.
Yep.
Get abducted by God knows who.
That's a great idea. I mean, if you really had a kid that's, you need to put somewhere, put them inside those clothes racks because nobody's going in there.
Our local store in Shrewsbury was Spags, and there was a guy named Walter Spag owned it. That store, everyone came from states all around to go to this one general store because it was just, I don't know where it got the attention or popularity, but if someone can answer that for me, I have no idea. And I lived in Shrewsbury. So that town had the guy, Walter Spag. At the time, he was probably in his, I thought he was like 90, but he's probably in his late 60s, to be honest.
30s.
Yeah.
A hard 30.
And he would sit on the bench and you'd sit with him. And my parents actually felt comfortable, just like, you can just stay there with him while I go shop.
Was it like a real guy, or
Yeah,
was
real
it
guy.
like just like a
mascot?
No, like a cement statue, and Hector's just chatting away, and the guy's just like not moving.
He's a good
Yeah.
listener.
To answer your question, there was an actual statue of him.
Eventually got put there.
No, was there while he was alive.
Oh, two of them.
Yeah. So
That's even
Not
better.
him himself.
But he
Oh,
himself would sit on the bench because he just loved seeing customers. He was kind of like the people greeter at Walmart, but his own store. So we would just sit on the bench right in front of they open the doors.
That's amazing.
Was this Spags like a overrun, like a job lot kind of situation?
So when his daughters took over, they ended up selling it to Building 19.
Okay.
So similar to that,
Okay.
but it was its own
Entity.
Welcome to Massachusetts Talk with Hector and Kyle.
What's Building 19?
another general store. It's like
okay.
I'm trying to think of an example. It's kind of like what you're describing with server merchandise, but they would sell it at really affordable prices, and try to always beat the discount. So it would never be like a store. It would always be from a store, but they would sell it there, like almost like a third party.
Oh,
buy.
yeah, they have
Okay.
plenty of those.
And then, but it wasn't used. It was all new stuff. It was never like they would sell like off brands and like
Yeah.
this is of, and just it's hard to.
Sounds like Winners almost, kind of.
Yeah, but I think Winners is still getting it from a distributor as opposed to another store.
Okay, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think you're right. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like a resale, but almost like kind of like an overstock resale or discount.
Winners is TK Maxx. It's the same store.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
kind of.
okay.
I mean,
There you go, TJ Maxx.
Yeah,
Or TJ
Yeah.
Maxx, sorry.
yeah. It's
Okay.
kind of that same, like precursor to that.
Yeah, we have a lot of those. Or like you said, Kyle, Ocean State Job Lot.
But that didn't come on until
That came later. Yeah,
we had Railroad Salvage, Ruby Vine.
Yeah.
Bald guy with the mustache and glasses would yell at you on the TV, like
Yeah.
Billy Mays kind of style. And he had Railroad Salvage, which would, I assume, take goods off of railroad cars, ship them into his different stores.
Stuff that fell off the wagon.
Kind of, I think that too, probably. We were close enough to New York. But yeah, but he named it Railroad Salvage, of all things,
Huh.
which is just insane.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's like if a flea market sold new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That was an unexpected walk down memory lane. I love it.
Oh,
I love it. All right. So we can. Oh, first,
How about a bumper?
great minds think
Yeah.
alike. All right. So, question number 2. What is the most ridiculous reason you've ever been late to something important? Mike, let's start with you.
Okay. Not ridiculous, but IBS, but that's a different story.
Oh, okay.
oh.
Yeah,
Interstate Building Supply?
that's right.
It's next to service merchandise.
The hardware store?
I shake my
Yeah.
fist at them. Yeah. So the story that popped into my head when I was thinking about this was, I think I was in grade 11 or 11th grade for my American friends, and I used to go to my friend's house at lunch. And my friend, where he lived, the shortcut was if you went through this park, but the problem was you had to cross a little creek. I say it was about a little creek. It's probably about 6 feet wide. But near his house, because he lived on the other side of the creek, and you would just kind of run up this little hill and you'd be at his house. Otherwise, you'd have to spend about 10 minutes extra kind of walking to where the creek hit the road, and then you'd go up to the road and come back down the other side of the creek. So if we'd avoid that if we could. Anyway, I went to his house for lunch one day. We made it across the creek, no problem, like we had done 1,000 times. And on the way back, I fell into the creek.
Ooh.
So I remember, and now listen, I had a pair of green 501 jeans.
Mhm.
They were the bee's knees, but they became dark green when I fell into the water.
What time of year was it?
So it was cold. I was just going to say that next.
Oh, okay,
It was
okay.
like, it was fall, winter, like it was cold.
Ooh, okay.
So, and he, you know, it was probably about another, I don't know, 7-8 minute walk to the high school once you cross the creek. So I was freezing. I'm trying to run. You know, I'm glad it didn't happen to me now because I would need the bathroom, but you know, I was young. I didn't need it then. So I remember walking in. So we were late, right? Because I'd fallen in the creek and whatever. And I remember getting to the high school, and I was a good kid and I never was late. I never missed class unless I was sick or something. So I remember going into the office, and I think the woman didn't even know who I was. And I'm just like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, but I fell into the creek and I need to go home and change. And the one thing I remember about it, besides falling in the creek, was she didn't bat an eyelid. She didn't question it. She was just like, okay.
Same shit, different day.
I'm like, wait, has somebody done this before? Like, I don't understand.
Another kid in the creek.
So yeah, that's probably the most crazy reason I was ever late. So
Jesus. You said grade 11, so you were like
16,
7.
17,
Okay.
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
It would save you 10 minutes because it was like an extra 5-minute walk to walk up to the road. And then that lets you cross the creek, obviously. But there were rocks like strategic, and we had crossed it 1,000 times, right? And throughout high school, and then probably 1,000 more. But anyway, yeah, one time, I don't know, the rock was slippery or something, and I just went in, and it was bad. So I just,
That's a good average, though. You only fell once.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing, I mean, I might have got we call it a soaker here when you get when you step in a puddle by mistake or something and your foot goes. I may have got one of them before, but yeah, I'd never fallen in. And and it was funny because I don't even think I called my parents to say, hey, this just happened. Can you come get me? It was a walk of shame home, probably freezing. You know, and going home and changing and coming back. So
you're 16, so you don't call your parents for that.
No.
Exactly. Sorry,
sure.
Kyle, you were gonna say.
No, I was gonna say nobody blamed you for peeing your pants.
Nobody would have noticed. I was wet anyway.
Oh,
it's like taking a shower after you've
that wet. Okay. Not strategically wet. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's yeah. But my favorite part is just I remember the secretary going, okay, like
Sure.
like not a question. I was just like, all right. So
that's so fun. That's such a big thing. Like when we were young at my grandparents' house, they had brooks in the property, and we go out in the woods and play in the brook, and we were told constantly, do not fall in, and we fell in every time. But that's such a thing. If there's water, you got to play near it or in it or on it, kind of, if you had the rocks. But then eventually you'd fall in and get water.
It's clockwork.
I remember it because it was after lunch, right? Because we had gone to his place for lunch, and I'm just glad that we did because I didn't always walk to school with him because sometimes my mom kind of worked near where my friend lived. So sometimes she would drop me off in the morning. Like if she had to go in early or something, she would drop me off at his house and then I'd walk in with him. And even then we would cross the creek, but I'm just glad I didn't have my bag with me and, probably my Walkman, which was probably my most prized possession at that point. But we were just, I'd maybe have my lunch bag and that was it. So
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What is it with Brooks? We knew a girl, she was really cute.
Named Brooke?
She had a pool, like Olympic-sized pool. We'd go to her house and go swimming, and then eventually we'd just go down to the brook and skip rocks. I'm like, there's an Olympic-sized pool here, and a cute girl, and we're just these a bunch of guys down there skipping rocks, talking this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's magnetic.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It's hard not to want to be there.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Mike. Nick, what do you have for this one?
Going off of Mike, I'm going to go with a middle school memory for myself. So I remember doing really well in school. I was like a straight A student for pretty much all of school. And
Nerd. Wait, come on.
I know. And I also played sports too. So go figure.
What? Oh.
Long story short, I had one of those. I don't know if you all, when you all were younger, but when it was the midterms and they gave you your grade and your parents had to sign, what was your
progress report?
Average. Yeah, your progress report.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a 91 in like math or whatever. I forgot what math class it was in 7th or 8th grade.
Parents thought you were a failure.
Yes, they did. And I got my parents to sign that progress report and like social studies and biology and whatever. So my dad signs it, and my dad has a very unique signature. So the best way to sort of describe it is it's like a scribble. So it's just like very, but it looks nothing like his name. So
Oh, Dr.
unless you-
Bamback. Yeah.
yes, yeah, he definitely does have the penmanship and the whatnot of a doctor. And to cut a long story short, I give my progress reports to my teachers. Like I said, I had like A's for the most part. So I give them. And I gave it to this math teacher. She was such a bitch. She turned around. She didn't believe me. And she gave me 3 days of detention. I'm being dead serious. Like, she just did not believe me. I said to her, but why would I fake his signature if I have like a 91 in your class? Like, that doesn't make sense. If I had like a 71, I could kind of understand, or a 61 or 51 or whatever.
That's more among my grid.
But a long story short, I had to stay after school. My parents both worked during the day, so they didn't know where I was. And then my dad, who got off probably like an hour or so after I usually get home from school, was like, "Where's Nick?" And then he went to the answer machine. I left a message, and he raced to school. And apparently the teacher was there in the room. And he basically was like, "Where's my son?" Like, and then he went into the classroom, and this is one of the most badass things I think I've ever seen my dad do. He turns around,
beat the hell out of the teacher.
He goes to the teacher. He's like, "Oh yeah, he forged your signature or whatever." He's like, "His grade was this. Like, why would he do that?" So she said, blah blah blah, and he's like, literally did his signature. He just told her, "Shut up, stop talking." Did his signature, and he grabbed me. He said, "You're out of here."
Wow.
So it was like the best thing ever. I was terrified because, but the thing that we were late to was to pick up my mom because she had to get her car worked on or something like that. So it was something that we were late to pick up because we almost missed it that day. But the fact that my teacher thought I forged a signature, even though I was doing really well in her class, my dad then going basically to just do a signature in front of her, tell her to go screw off, and then just grab me, I thought was one of the greatest things ever.
So can I add to this at a middle school story? So my friend's house that I used to go to, his name was also Mike, right? So I have to tell you this real quick because Nick, you totally reminded me of this. So I was a really good kid. I didn't get A's, all the time. I got A's, but not all the time. Anyway, we went to middle school. We've gone to school together since grade 5, but in middle school, we had I don't even know if he's alive, but my principal's name was Jim Coles. My mom was also, I'm a teacher. My mom was also a teacher. Anyway, Jim Coles. Now Mike Getz, that's his name. That's my buddy's name. I'm still friends with him. You can check him out on Facebook. Anyway, Mike Getz and Mike probably doesn't know this story.
Do you want me to edit this out?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
He's going to love it.
Sure.
This is gold.
Mike Getz and I were like good friends. We're both named Mike. We both have a 1-syllable last name as well. And I was a good kid. Mike was a good kid, but he was the character, right? The class clown at times. So anyway, I'll never forget this. I'm in middle school. I'm in like 7th grade. I'm walking up the stairs with my class, and Jim Cole's the principal. Again, I'd never been in trouble in my life, right? He pulls me by like the shirt and goes, and there's some adult standing beside him who I don't know. And he goes, "Watch out for this one." And I'm like, "What? Like, I'm a good kid. What are you talking about?" Right? So anyway, years later, he becomes the principal at my mom's school. So my mom said, "Yeah, you were my son's principal." And he goes, "Who is your son?" And she says, "Mike Drew." And he goes, my mom goes, "His face just changed. Like, just, oh God," right? And then he basically said, like, "Your son was a pain in the ass," right? And my mom's like, "Mike?" Right? So she comes home tells me this story. And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I know, it was weird," right? And I said, "Well," and I told her the story about how he pulled me out of the line one day. She's like, "I don't get it." And I'm like, "I don't either. I was never in trouble. I was never at the office, whatever." Then all of a sudden it dawned on me and I went, wait, did he confuse me with the other Mike? Right? Now, by this point, I'm a couple years older. I might even have been out of high school at this point. So, so anyway, my mom goes, "I wonder if he did." So she goes to school one day and she goes, "Hey, we were talking about my son, and she goes, were you confusing him with, Mike Getz? And he goes,
His face changed again.
again. And I was just like, I was a good kid. What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah. Sorry, Mike. Love you, buddy.
And that's when you became Michael.
Yeah. No, I became Michael when I got in trouble. I don't know. He should have called me Michael.
Did you ever ask him what he did to piss off your principal?
No, I probably know a couple of things he did to piss off me.
Volunteer freak.
Yeah, that was later. That was a couple of years down the road. But
Nice.
mhm.
All right. Okay, so thank you, Nick. Hector, it's your turn if you have something for that question.
You know what? I had racked my brain, but luckily something happened last week that probably fits the profile. So I have, I guess they're not really parent-teacher conferences, but my son goes to a school 2 towns over, and we do everything now on Google Meet or whatever it's called.
Classrooms. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Google Classroom. So it's all, I just have the phone and I just put it down and we'll do the one-on-one through a Zoom type thing on the phone while I'm working. But I was like 2 minutes ready to go into the conference, and I realized that I had a face that was just bearded, just looked, but not when I grow a beard, it's not like a cool like Brad Pitt, like, oh, a beard. No, it's like it looks like peach fuzz. Just
Oh.
it looks like woolly, just relocated in different spots. It doesn't look good.
Really?
So I run to the bathroom and I give it a little quick shaver risky,
Oh boy.
do the whole thing, and I run right out and get on the Google whatever thing, Google Classroom. And she's like, and finally jump on and like, hello. And then my wife's on the other line. She's at her job. So I'm typing away, doing some work and participating in the conference. And they're both like, you missed a spot. No, the teacher looks at me and says, you missed a spot. I'm like, I did bit boy. And she's like, oh, you missed a spot. And she kind of points to like the upper
Oh,
lip.
no.
Not what you think.
Oh, okay.
It was shaving cream.
Oh.
But I had a
okay.
full-on goatee of shaving cream. Like, not even like, it wasn't like you missed a little spot. You missed the entire, like, full mammoth
Captain
goatee.
Harris.
Yeah. It looked like I gave, like, a blowjob to Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's how bad it looked. Like, all around from here, down here,
Wow.
a little bit dripping off. But I've got everything else. But it was just a full-on solid old man goatee looking white fuzzy.
So, okay, so you gave yourself a shave without a mirror, like, blind.
Completely blind. I'm so
Oh.
good at it now. I've done,
Yeah, you're real good at it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
risky.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's good.
How is Kyle supposed to follow up these answers?
I'll
Well,
tell you
yeah.
how. He's not gonna.
Kyle, show up early next time. He won't be last.
I think so. Man, Jesus.
So,
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Nothing like a good shaving story. What's make me okay? The one thing, it's not a real answer. Sorry, ladies. The one thing that makes me late, women. Am I right, guys? No.
No respect.
Well-
No respect.
Well, to be true, kind of is. They're in the house right now, so I'm trying to be quiet.
Okay.
So if I'm late for something, it's usually because I'm waiting for that lady to do something.
Even your dog is a female, right?
Jesus Christ. She's the worst.
What a bitch.
Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom outside all the time. So yeah, that's my quick and quirky answer.
oh, that's a good one. Oh, yeah, that qualifies for sure. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
All right, so yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, number 3, what is a childhood/cultural misconception you had that you embarrassingly held on to for way too long? Mike, let's start with you.
I think this will be my quickest answer.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, song lyrics, maybe
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other
Good.
thing probably was the Pop Rocks and Coke or whatever it was. The
Oh,
guy's
yeah.
stomach exploded.
Mm.
The internet killed all of that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
thanks internet.
so yeah, thanks internet.
And created some more.
Yeah, and created
Yeah.
some more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Chat
really,
GPT.
Yes.
what's the question again? ChatGPT. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that I didn't have a great answer for these ones. I'm sorry. Not that my
That's
other ones are
good.
great. but
That's
that one
okay.
was-
Especially
yeah.
the song lyric ones. That's very
I
good.
think song lyrics. Yeah, I mean, and I couldn't even give you an example. It would just be songs that people would be like,
The classics, yeah.
yeah, some LA Guns B-side that people are like, oh yeah, that one, that misheard lyric. Yeah.
You think it was sound quality too? Like when we were growing up, it was cassettes or radio or maybe just hearing things on
I
the.
think it was accents. Accents, even if they're English people from America speaking,
Yeah.
they still had a way of saying a line where you're like, you sing it yourself, and then you turn 44, and you're like, "That's what he was saying." Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah.
even
That's
just
it, though.
you'd hear something and you go, well, that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, or,
but you sing it that way still
yeah.
Yeah.
for your
You're
whole
like,
life.
okay.
Or
But-
you go, yeah. You kind of-
You mush it through that part.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Until you get to the
My-
chorus.
Yeah. It's like that song, Fox on the Run. Fox on the Run. Foxy. And then he says for Foxy, but for
For
years,
fuck's sake.
I thought he said for fuck's sake.
Wow.
And I'm like, how'd they get past that on the radio?
Mm.
That's on the radio all the time.
All the time.
Well, my favorite are those, somebody's made those videos of like the Pearl Jam songs and like Yellow Ledbetter,
Yeah.
and they've taken like the names from LinkedIn
Yes.
and into the lyrics.
That is awesome.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know.
I think my favorite one when I was younger was that Dire Straits song "Money for Nothing." I think in the chorus, I always thought it was "money for nothing" and the chips are free, not the chicks are
Oh,
free.
the chip part. Okay.
Yeah.
That is not the part I thought you were going to talk about.
Elvira probably would agree with you.
Same. Thank you, Mike. Nick, what do you have for this one?
This one again, this is like Mike. It's probably gonna be a short answer. I have two actually that I'll give you because I think they're both good. I thought when I was younger, chocolate milk came from brown cows.
How now? It was that Dr.
Wow.
Seuss book that ruined you, didn't it? How
Yeah,
now, brown
I
cow?
thought- And then when my sister had strawberry milk, I was like, oh, there's pink cows.
Yeah.
So
That's called mad
you
cow
know.
disease.
but I think what's even scarier is that, like, I think I read a study somewhere that, like, there's like 20% of Americans think that it does actually come from brown cows, which is like, that just says a lot about our country in so many ways.
And their vote counts as much as yours does.
You know, Drew, you're not wrong. And then the other one that I always thought for this answer, or when I was looking at this answer, I couldn't really go between this and the other one, was that if you go outside with wet hair on a cold day, you get
Mm.
a cold,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
doesn't really happen.
Way too long did I have that. Yep.
Or if you make too many like funny faces, you're gonna be, stuck that
Stuck
way.
that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Nick. Hector, what do you have for this one?
I got a bunch. The first one is always like dead people. Like in 1991, someone told me that the Micro Machines guy had died, and I believed him
Aw.
until like 2020, like for a long.
Which guy?
The Micro Machines ads pitch guy.
What's his name? John
Machida?
Machida. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Micro Machines man. Talks really fast.
I remember the toy.
I'll send you the link later. YouTube.
Bald guy with a mustache.
Yeah. We had a racer cap on and was just always, had the little Micro Machines
Yep.
cars.
You'd know him if you saw him.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, because it doesn't ring a bell
Yeah.
right now. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think he appeared on like a episode of Robot Chicken one night, and I think that's how I pieced it together that he's still alive. Because I heard that voice, I'm like, who the hell? That sounds like someone's doing a tribute to the Micro Machines guy.
Is he still alive now?
He's still alive. Yeah,
Really?
he's still alive. But yeah, 1991, thought he died because someone told me that, and I was gullible enough, and it happened a lot. But the real answer, and this is, oh god, embarrassed to say this.
Oh boy.
I thought for way too long that
Chocolate milk came from brown cows.
oh god, I can't believe I'm admitting this. That Alaska and Hawaii were close to each other because of the
That's not
fucking
bad.
U.S. map. Because in second grade we studied geography, and the map put Alaska and Hawaii next to each other to show.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah, in
believe
an
they were.
insert, like
Yeah.
next to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So
I
I
see,
believed
yeah.
forever that they were that close to each other. I'm like, oh, I could just take a charter from one to the other.
A ferry.
Yeah, just a ferry from Alaska to Hawaii. Sure, why not? One's got volcanoes, one's got Inuits.
When did you learn the truth?
That's the embarrassing
Years ago.
part.
Last month.
No, I honestly it was after 2000, which I'm afraid to say, but I can't remember. I know it was sometime when I was dating Angela. Angela brought it to my attention. Yeah, those two, not you. We had a map that's the thing is like when we were growing up, we studied U.S. geography only. They only made us learn states and capitals.
Okay.
That was the most important thing, and that means shit. But I know my states and capitals. Thanks, second grade. But
except for two.
But except for two.
Yes.
Only the intercontinental ones. Only the continental. But yes, I never learned countries. Never learned any other geography. Just states and capitals. That was the most important thing that we had to know, and we memorized them for a good 3 months. And now I never forget them. But you know what? Whenever I'm playing a drinking game and the category is states and capitals, then that's right in my wheelhouse.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fucking Alaska and Hawaii.
I'm not doing this 3 times in a row. So forget it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can skip. You have a mulligan.
I'm out on this one.
Okay, yeah, no problem. And I really tried to come up with something, but I don't know, like maybe I mentally blocked it or something. I got nothing. Sorry.
That's all right.
I also thought the Dunkin' Donuts guy died in 1992. So
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy. Just wears.
I think actually he did die.
Did he?
And John Machida Jr. I just looked it up.
He's alive.
70 years old.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. I would have thought he would have been like in his 80s by now, but
he's been in his 30s when he's doing those commercials.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you like a famous person that I like will make you laugh. So I thought that Larry King died 20 years before he actually died because you only saw half his body.
If you watch did you watch his show? He kind of did.
Yes, and I was like, "Is he really still alive?" Like, I don't know. It was
you
so
see
funny.
the strings moving. Yeah,
he looked like ET towards the end.
Nick first saw AI before anybody else like actually did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Nice.
All right. So number 4, if you could, for this last question, Kyle, I'll give you the privilege if you want to reorder, if you want to go first or something.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay.
Finally.
Yeah. Okay. You can go first for that one. If you could erase one trend, phrase, or piece of pop culture from history, what would it be? And we are not talking about a person here.
Okay.
Because that would be too tempting.
Of course. The last decade.
Yes, exactly. Okay. One trend, phrase, or piece of pop culture from history completely vanishes from, the consciousness of humanity or something. So, Kyle, we can start with you.
I have nothing.
Okay.
Pass.
That's all right. That's okay.
Thanks for putting me first, though.
Oh, no problem. You earned it after Hector.
Let him clean up like you should.
Yes, exactly.
Please.
With his amazing stories, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not being ironic. It's top material. All right. Okay, so thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you have?
I struggled with this one.
There's so much.
There is, so I would say, and even this comes with like asterisks, but I would say boy bands.
Okay.
F them.
What?
Yes, yeah, I knew that.
Hello, Astra.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much time, but to be fair,
No, please.
no. I personally, I could do look. People classified the Beatles as a boy band initially, right? I'm not talking about artists that can create music using their own talent. I'm talking, or even the Monkees. People would say the Monkees because they were like a prefab band.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about like New Kids and Backstreet
In sync and whatever.
And I'll tell you why. Because a great song is a great song. So if I hear a song that I think is a great song, whether it's by Backstreet Boys or whoever, I think that song would live with or without them, right? So I would rather have it live without them because, that's probably the one thing. And look, I'm being probably, comedic for the sake of it in this case. Like I'm not I don't really care. And there's nothing. Reality TV would probably be another one. Sorry, Nick. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Drew,
I know.
Friends anymore. Like, what is happening?
No, listen, not all.
Next, you're gonna say, you know what, Nick? Pro wrestling that should not exist.
Michael Fassbender movies.
Is that all it takes? Wait,
And you know, Tom Hardy's the worst actor, and the Pointer Sisters suck. And you're like, wow, like
Yeah.
what is happening?
He fell for it, guys.
looking at my Nick notes. Yeah.
We got him here finally. We got him.
No, but I mean, again, there's asterisks, right? Because if I say all boy bands, then I don't get Take That. And if I don't get Take That, then I don't get Robbie Williams.
Exactly.
And I don't get Gary Barlow, who, to be fair, wrote a lot of the great songs. But again, I would be selective.
And it's also everything surrounding those bands.
That's the problem.
Oh,
Yes.
But that's
You know.
everything. I mean,
Yeah,
any
anything-
opinion. It's all
Yeah, absolutely.
subjective opinions.
And this is
everybody-
why I'm saying that, for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
of course. And everybody can pick and choose and dissect and clump together what they want to make it to their own argument.
Here's what I will say then. Okay, let me
Please.
kind of go serious here for a second.
Uh-oh.
I will say
Here we go.
any pop star, right? Okay, because we're all music people here, right?
Yeah.
Any pop star who is seen as a quote unquote like artist or quote unquote genius, when that person has had 16 people help them write a song, or, you know, that drives me insane because again, the song would live with or without them.
Kanye's music.
Are you talking about Beyonce?
No, Kanye. His music is going to live on. It's all classic stuff.
Listen, I'm not saying, but it drives me nuts because there are just so many talented musicians who will never get the heights of certain other celebrities. Yeah. And notice how I didn't say the word artist.
Yeah.
Just because that's what drives me insane. Like I just, you know, again, they have a place, people enjoy their stuff, that's fine. And I'm not saying I would get rid of it. I'm just saying that that's in my world, if I can erase it, then maybe I would. So
I might have to block Drew after this.
yeah, really. He's like, what was your handle on Blue Sky? Block.
My first concert was Menudo, okay, in the late 80s. I fully endorse your opinion about that.
Oh, okay.
But at the
I thought you
same
were
time,
hard on.
oh, no, the other way. I mean, if you want to talk about boy bands that have had a very rough upbringing, that's number one, I think.
Oh, more than Jackson's?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, Menudo has a good docu-series. It's
docu-series.
actually
Ooh.
really sad.
Oh, it's
but
horribly
yeah.
sad. Yeah. Well, we did, again, speaking of things we didn't know about, that never was, they were plastered on because when we were in Puerto Rico, it was all over billboards, stores. They had action figures. You remember the tall G.I. Joes? Well, they had the same size ones for Menudo dolls,
Those 12 inches. Yeah.
the 12-inch.
How many of those dolls existed? There was like 1,000 different members.
Well, this was just the 80s ones because,
It was like Smurfs. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
700.
I remember Menudo being on like the cover of like
Teen Beat,
Teen Beat and 16 and all that.
Oh, yeah.
in the 80s.
because they came out with an American English-speaking album in 84. But before then, it was just like, it was all, yeah, and it was self-titled.
Was Ricky Martin at that point? Was he
Yes,
there at
that was his
point?
first, I think. That was his first record.
Yeah, they were on during Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
But again,
Constantly.
see, even the reality show, right? Like I mentioned that, and then Nick was like shocked. I don't mean all reality shows, but I think any reality show that disguises itself as a reality show when in fact it's just scripted television or
That's everything.
edit. I absolutely. The only, my dad used to always say the only real reality on television is sport, right? Because there's no, a live sport.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Because
true.
it's
Actually, yeah.
There's not much else that's
Unless
you
it's
can't
a Tyson
manipulate.
fight.
Yes.
It's just
Wow.
that even nowadays, they might
That's
be-
2020. Yeah, maybe in the past, maybe not so much now. So
When we spent the summer in Puerto Rico, and we were down in La Barquera, which is the southern west part of Puerto Rico. It's all island. It's all ocean. So everything Caribbean, and a street that's just lit up, dancing, music, blah blah blah. And I'm like, hey, let's go down to the water. Let's go down to the water. And everyone's like, no, sorry. The premiere of The Real World just came on.
Oh,
Oh.
The series premiere of The Real World, arguably the first reality show,
Yeah.
and they were glued to the TV for the next however long. So
That's
Yeah.
funny.
that ruined my trip. But no, that's I have a very visual memory of that one because everyone was like, okay, well, yeah, we'll go later. We'll watch TV. Oh.
I lived in the UK when the first Big Brother, like the UK started it before we had it here, when the first one was on. And there's one scene in particular where one of the people in the house was danced, like they played like That's the Way, like I think it was Casey and the Sunshine Band, and that is what won over the public. Like their ratings jumped something like 50% overnight. I mean, they had a big, following at the time, but it just became like tabloid fodder, right? And it just took up so much of the public consciousness. I'm like, there's people like starving, 3 miles away. Should we not maybe focus on that? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting, and look, it is what it is. I don't care. Again, I'm not going to erase it. Everybody can enjoy what they want, but for me, if those two things disappeared, I wouldn't probably be terribly upset. So
Yeah. Yep. All right. Thank you, Mike. Nick, what do you have for this one?
Oh boy.
This one I honestly struggled with because it's such a vague question in a way. So like I kept thinking of so many different answers, and I kept coming back to
Mike
I
Drew?
don't really have specific
heavy metal, other things.
I know I'm gonna list
Canadians.
things that Mike Drew likes. I'm gonna be like that LA Guns and that Warren hair metal. My
That's right.
no, and Britpop. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
No. I would say unnecessary sequels or prequels or
one.
anything like that. So
Hmm.
I could probably list a few that like are examples, like the most recent Joker movie, like that really did not need to be made, or I don't know, like Caddyshack 2,
Oh,
or
wow.
they had that really crappy, what was it? Like Zoolander 2, like these cash grabs that Hollywood often goes for. And it actually hurts the original or the franchise as a whole. So I don't know.
Does it?
It can, yeah.
The reputation it does
Yeah.
for a lot of them.
But when you think Caddyshack, no one ever says Caddyshack 2.
Yeah.
You just think of It almost walls itself off.
Yeah, maybe it takes a while, but eventually, like, the original will stand on its own if the
Yeah.
sequel sucks, and, no one will remember the sequel. And
Yeah, it just
You
kind
know.
of falls off to the side.
I know what you're saying, though, Nick.
Yeah.
Because at the time, it takes up, and you're like,
Yeah.
do I bother seeing this? And I hear you.
And the other thing too is like, to kind of build onto that is like remakes that don't need to be
Oh my
remade.
God. Yeah.
So,
one, yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say?
Like live action Disney altogether.
among others, yeah.
I was
boy.
thinking like last year with like The Crow, like
Oh,
how
God,
they remade The
yeah.
Crow, and it just
Good example.
like no one asked for it. They've been trying to make it for like 20 years, it seems.
Yeah, get a hint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it ruins the original, but also like who are they making these movies for, or these television reboots? Like they had the most recent example, like Frasier, which was one of my favorite shows, and my parents watched the revival, and they said that it almost ruined them to watch
Yeah,
the original Frasier.
Tony said
They
that too.
loved.
Was Tony that watched it?
Tony did, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It sounds like a good idea. I mean, when you have an old show everybody loved,
Right.
and some of the people are still alive for that show, why not bring them back and try to make a new chapter? That sounds like it should be fine.
The new WKRP is like, who watched that?
It's probably worse for TV, though.
Yeah.
Do you have more, like you're more attached to TV shows in a way?
Kind of, but it seems like movies are higher stakes.
That's true.
Mm.
That's true.
Did I ever tell you my theory about like TV shows? Is I always say it's my movie club, because for some reason TV shows are very personal, and in the sense that you only tend to watch TV shows of the ones either you grew up with or you have some kind of familiarity with. Usually, for most people, it seems like they're not usually going to seek out a new TV show or have memories of like things unless they grew up with it. Like we see that the Name That Tune world all the time, where people mention TV shows. I'm
Yeah.
like, did that actually exist? But like, if you look at like 30 years later, no one really remembers except for maybe a few people. And I feel like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's one of those things where like TV's attached to your upbringing or your childhood,
Yeah.
and that's all you watch or those types of shows.
George Clooney made a really good point, right? Because he's obviously this huge star and did all these films and stuff. He said, I remember reading an interview with him. He said, but I get way more notice for my days on ER. And his theory was, and I'm paraphrasing, but his theory was that with TV, you can be in your bed watching it. You can be on your couch. You can be in your underpants. You can be watching dinner. But it's your personal space. So that connection, right? And it's obviously the fact that, they're seeing you once a week as opposed to a movie where I see you at the right. And, so it's more frequent. He said, but I think that personalization of you, of the viewer being at their home and they're like, it's almost an intimate interaction with you is like what makes TV more personal. And I know what you're saying, Nick. I think it's a difficult sell with this room right here because we're always reviewing something new, and we're always trying to find the newest thing that might be in a genre that we like or in a category, or a recommendation. Hey, so and so recommended this, but I know what you're saying because I know a lot of those people too, where it's just like, and it's no different than music. They grew up right, and then you go, hey, that band has a new record out now, and it's really good, and they're like, so.
It's like kind of to belong to that because you kind of said it much better than I did. It's this idea that like you stop listening to music at whatever age. It's sort of like that, I think, with TV for many people. And then people will rewatch things. Like my parents were just saying they were rewatching Sopranos for like the 15th time, it seems.
But I don't know if it's gonna, how can I say, like for the young people nowadays, I don't know if that's gonna be true 20 years from now, because now their attention is all over the place, like when we were kids, we had TV and, going outside and books. And
that was it.
And there's so much more content, right?
Yeah.
Like, you
remember that TikTok I watched when I was 7? It was great. I'm going to watch a ton of times later on when I'm older too.
Yeah, exactly.
A 90-minute movie, I only did span for like a 2-second video.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, my nephew is 17 and he is probably listening right now, actually.
Oh crap!
But
sorry about
I should ask him if he remembers any TV programs from like kindergarten or something.
I think they do. Like my kids do because they remember, especially movies. Movies are weird because they, like I said, I think they have a more weight to them. They hit harder and they stick harder than TV shows. TV shows are good, and you see them more often than a movie because, like you watch every week or whatever.
I can remember every single movie that I saw in a theater. I have like a Mary Lou Henner brain when it comes to just the theater ones. Like if I watch something on Netflix, it's gone. It's gone and never coming back.
Because it sucks, right?
The other thing is binge watching.
Yeah.
Like kind of defeats that purpose because you watch it for like an entire weekend and it's gone.
Right.
Yeah. If you've got a show on a weekend, it doesn't have the same effect as seeing that show over 10 months worth of sweet weeks and specials. And
I don't know if we said this while we were recording or prior to, but I had mentioned that COVID was officially announced like an epidemic or whatever 5 years ago today.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because remember when that started, everybody was like, we're all at home and we're all like, this is the best. We're catching up on all these shows that we missed or whatever. But everybody's panic at the time was we're going to run out of things to watch. Right?
Yeah.
That never happened because content is constantly being made. And I know what you're saying, Patrick, because for me, I think personally, like, with just the high turnover. I mean, you think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that are being uploaded to YouTube every single day. Now, I'm sure 99.9% of it's garbage.
Yeah.
But like, but the thing is, there's just so much. Like, I don't think anybody's ever going to run out. I mean, you might go back. Kyle joked about watching that Vine when you're 7. Remember that? Whatever, TikTok.
Well, imagine if COVID happened when you were 5. Like, you'd have no internet. Yeah. You'd have no.
I work with those kids.
Yeah.
Right. So
no, but I mean, like, if you happened to you in the 70s or 80s, there's no, what is there to watch? You definitely run out of material. You had to be outside in your yard by yourself. You couldn't go to the library to borrow books, so you read
whatever was videotaped.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is? It's like you had to like actually find the product or find the content, right? Now the content finds you.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's another thing.
So to me, I feel like
Soviet Russia.
It kind of is, because I feel like even when when I was younger, everyone was younger, we had like Blockbuster, you would rent movies and you would enjoy the movie more because you're like, oh wow, I got this movie finally that was on home video.
Nick, I heard a podcast. There's a guy named Alan Cross who's a great kind of music historian up here in Canada. He's well known. He's got a radio show and a podcast, whatever. But he makes the same argument that you just did about music, which is, I think, 100% right. That it's when you plonk down $12 for your CD or $15 or what it was, even if you really didn't like it, because you put over that money and because you went to the store to buy it and you made all that effort, if you didn't like it, you would give it another shot. And
For
if
sure.
you still didn't like it, and then eventually, right? And sometimes it paid off because you're like, oh, this is one of those grower records. And then sometimes it was just like, this record still sucks, but I paid all that money for it and I really want to like it.
And you keep it.
But you know what it is too, Drew? And this is really important to keep in mind, like with record stores or movie theaters, they were sites of socialization, something that younger generations tend to struggle with, which is true.
Yeah.
Because you would say like, oh, you like the LA Guns? Oh, I like LA Guns. And then you became friends. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah, but that didn't happen that often.
No, but it did. Right?
It did, but not as often as you would think.
Oh, the 90s were way worse.
Because think of every time you've gone into a record store and there's 7 of you looking through the racks, just listening and being quiet to yourself, trying to find that one CD that you might find on sale or something.
And you think, look at those assholes.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to beat them. You're not being friends with
What
them.
is that guy wearing?
I was like those assholes with the Steely Dan records.
Exactly. You go over there and take that crap. I'm going to be over here. That's fine. No, but I think music is harder because, and especially again, because of the times, when you're younger, that's all you have, you get your whatever media that you're, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Consuming.
Thank you. Then that's all you have in front of you. So you are going to listen to it more.
Oh, for sure.
When you're a teenager, though, like for film, for music, that kind of is what's starting to define you, right? It's defining your social group. Like, hey, I hang out with these guys because they're the rockers, or I hang out with these kids because we all love horror movies, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
It's that shared interest.
And then you get into your 20s and it dilutes.
I agree.
And then
100%.
you get to your 30s and it's even more diluted. And a lot of that has to do with lifestyle, depending on what you're doing during your well, not even that way. But like if you're growing a family, or if you have a very time-consuming job that takes up a lot more space that you'd be listening to music, watching movies, doing whatever else. That kind of thing really dictates, I think, how much more you take in and kind of keep close to you versus when you're younger. Yeah. And music is much more, I think, like that than TVs and movies even. Unless you don't listen to music at all.
I think there are people that did I think there are film kids. Look at Nick. I'm sure, he's got both, but I mean, I think he's got like a bunch of friends from film and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's the exception to the rule.
Yeah. I think that the socialization aspect is really what's hurting, I think, a lot of kids. I mean, there's online communities, but that's not the same as holding a physical CD or a movie or a book.
Amen.
It's hard to explain, but it's like there's a smell, there's a texture.
Well, you would share it with your friends too, right? Or you would make them a copy, buy them, like, again, buy a blank tape. Look where'd I go? So I was going through a box yesterday, and I know this makes for great podcasting, but I was going through a box of old hockey cards yesterday.
Oh,
because
nice.
I had to do it, right? But I came across this.
Oh,
and
stickers.
it's a sticker for a cassette.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh.
And I wrote vacation to '92. So I don't know where I was going or what
You were
but
going
I was
to
going to
Mike.
make a mixtape for it. So I
was
like,
92.
Yeah.
Best thing about those stickers, too, you never use those little numbers on the bottom. All you ever used was just those 4 tape cassette
Do you remember
labels to write
taking
the titles.
the little plastic nubbies off the top of the tape?
Oh, yeah.
And then when you wanted to record over again, you had to take a piece of Scotch tape and put it over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Nick. It's old people talk again.
That was the equivalent of the VHS tape that said "Mum's tape, do not tape over." It was just that label
put a
was the
Scotch tape
equivalent of
over it.
popping out the
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys the time that my sister almost recorded over my parents' wedding video by mistake?
It's crazy they have a wedding video.
I was glad that you clarified wedding. You said that adjective.
Not the sex dungeon.
All right.
That's crazy.
We can call it an episode, I think. Yeah.
Wow. I think we have a lot of good stuff there. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. With a unexpected detour towards streaming and, the influence it's got culturally and the long-term effects it will have or won't have. That was an interesting
I will add one
conversation, I think. Yeah, please.
I think this all happened around the same year, 2003, 2004. It was just everything on TV was garbage. Let me explain, because I wrote this a couple down because I thought these were prime examples. there was a TV show on in 2003 called Temptation Island. If you ever heard of Temptation Island,
yes.
it was a show where basically couples were put on an island so that they'd split up and cheat on each other with other couples.
Yeah.
That was Temptation Island. The year after,
That was 20 years ago. Jesus.
yeah, 22 years ago. The year after that, they made a show on Fox called The Swan. And if anyone remembers the name of the show, Swan, The Swan was about getting plastic surgery so you'd appear beautiful for pageants. That was the time that we were living in. They're like, let's up the ante with plastic surgery. Not just like, because that show, remember Jillian Michaels did that TV show?
Yeah.
Was it Jillian Michaels? She did the show where it was like, she would yell at fat people and tell them.
Biggest Loser.
Biggest Loser.
Yes.
That came after. I think The Swan came after The Biggest Loser got popular.
Oh,
Let's pull back a little bit.
And
See,
then,
these are all the reasons that I said reality TV.
oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
The best part is all that reality hit like in 2000 when it really like took off with Survivor and all the other ones like Hard Time.
Yeah. And then
like primetime television more.
Exactly.
That
not really
MTV,
World or Big Brother.
VH1.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that just invited a whole. I think that was crossed between the avalanche of Girls Gone Wild that had been covering all the TV. So every commercial, like if you're watching TV after 8:00, it was just Girls Gone Wild, Girls Gone Wild, Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah.
And I think if you cross that with what they were doing to make like The Swan and Temptation Island, everything was just like, we're going to make booty TV. Is basically what they did for booty reality TV. And then, girls.
But that was only 2 to 3 years after the boom. You know, it's like almost they ran out of stuff to do. Well, and to be fair, it was Fox. Fox was always on the cutting edge of crap.
Good point.
But wow.
Yeah, The Swan though was like the ultimate. Like, I'm gonna just turn the TV off. I'm done. I'm done with reality.
That's bad stuff.
That's reality. I'm out.
The lowest of the low. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Hector, for being a Debbie Downer on this. Well done.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Mostly shit in this case. Okay, so on this note, thank you guys. Where can we reach you? Shit.
Now I see why you talk about the editing. Jesus.
Yeah. I know. Horrible completely.
Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
Yeah. All right. So where can we reach you guys online? Mike?
Instagram, Pickies with Filter, PICIES with filters. And as of now, maybe not by the time this gets posted, Blue Sky, same handle, Pickies with filters.
All right. Thank you. Nick, what about you?
You can reach me at Rock and Retropod on those two platforms, Blue Sky and Instagram. And just to say, check out my show where I have all these guys as guests and some of our other ones that are on the ETF. We will be having our 100th episode within the next month. So
nice.
We'll hit the big 100. We'll go to syndication, like on TV terms or TV talk. So,
Between The Simpsons and Big Bang Theory.
We'll get the Netflix deal.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Nick. Kyle, what about you?
Also, Instagram, Overkill, ROVERKYLART.
Thank you. Hector, what about you?
At Blue Sky, at Classic Hexagon. That's it.
Hey, look at that.
That's it.
You lasted a month. That's good.
I know. Time is ticking. We'll see.
He's back. Oh, whoa.
We'll see until something pisses me off. Then I guess, yeah.
So thank you, guys. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. Catch you on the next one. Thanks.